Sure.
All right, I'm going to call the Liberty Union-Thurston Board of Education regular meeting on April 12, 2021 to order. Ms. Boyer?
Ms. Cato?
Here.
Mr. Hook-Rattle? Mr. Moore?
Here.
Mr. Shook?
Here.
Dr. Walter?
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Currently, we're still not doing the public participation at board meetings, so I'll skip over to number 5, department presentation by the Food Service Director, Ms. Jan Frederick.
Thank you. I kind of want to concentrate on what ups and downs we've had during the pandemic. So last year in March, we were ready to go. So we started on day 1 serving meals at the curb for anybody who wanted to be there. The USDA issued a waiver to allow us to participate under a program called the Seamless Summer Option, which meant every student meal was reimbursed at the free rate, which was a good thing for us. So we started out serving around 300 kids every week. We gave them 5 meals. And they had when we first started, and maybe you'll remember, we had bags all over the cafeteria. We were giving them, we had enough bags that if a family of 8 came, they had 8 breakfast bags and 8 lunch bags for each child in their car. Well, we got real smart in how they get everything for one day in one bag. So if there's 4 kids, they get 4 bags. But in that bag, I mean, there's lots of choices. There's peanut butter and jelly, there's string cheese, there's graham crackers, there's fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, juice, milk, everything for breakfast and lunch for a full day. And it's we're now with the system that we're using, the hybrid system. If the student comes to school Monday through Thursday, they are allowed to pick up a meal for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the students that are home all 7 days, or all 5 days of school, are picking up a bag for 7 days. Right now, the participation is around 100 students every week. And we've only missed, I think, 2 weeks. We missed Fair Week and Christmas break, but over all of those times that we didn't provide a meal, the church across the street picked up and they gave out wonderful things. During the summer, the middle school teachers gave us extra money. We went every week, I went and bought something extra. They had maybe spaghetti, or they had macaroni and cheese, or whatever I could get for $3 or $4 that gave every family an additional bag or an additional meal. So and like I say, we started filling 1,500 bags. We got down to the point we were only doing 3. But the Seamless Summer Option, I think, was the best option for everybody to participate in, because it gave you the reimbursement at the free rate for every student. So we started out getting reimbursement this school year. Now, over the summer, we were getting $35,000 to $45,000 a month, which was really good. An average for us is $28,000 a month on a good year. So then, when school started in October, this is how important it is that we have the kids back in session as far as food service. Our numbers were 17,893, 18,000. We were down 1 month to 13,000. The month of March, the reimbursement was $36,814. It's just a difference of the participation in school along with the participation at the curb. So it did make a big difference for us to get the kids back in school. Over the summer and whenever we need, we've got all kinds of people willing to help us. We've got bus drivers that need to put some time in because they're not driving on Friday. In the summer we had secretaries. We had great help making it happen. Another thing I want to talk about is the commodity funds that we get. It's based on the number of lunches that you served the previous school year, and it's 38 cents per meal. Well, last school year wasn't a good year, nor was the year before, so they're basing it off of the 18-19 school year. So this year our reimbursement money was, our commodity dollars was $46,797. Should be that again for next year because they're going to waive that once again. Questions about any of that?
That's a good number for you.
Yeah, yes, that's a very good number.
Okay.
and we'll probably have some of that money left this year that'll carry over. We participate in a produce company called Produce One, where it's just up by the airport, and I every week give them an order of apples, pears, oranges, broccoli, celery, carrots, anything we want on that list. I provide money from my $46,000 to them, and then they deliver that free every Friday. So that was a big help over the summer. We saved a lot of money on our fruits and vegetables that we provided for the kids over the summer.
So how long does it continue? Do we know how long they're planning to continue the reimbursement at
The Seamless Summer,
Yeah.
right now through September 30th.
Okay.
So it's our plan right now, if I can get enough participation from my department, to offer that again through the summer, like we did last year, just 1 day a week. Last year, I feel like we did it on Monday. Right now we're on Wednesday, and even when we changed to the 4-day, we stayed on Wednesday, so my staff works over half of their time on Tuesday at the end of their day, and the other half of their Friday time on Wednesday. Then we don't come to school on Fridays. We do our, and that way it's just so hard to keep those people on a schedule. They're off a lot. I mean, we have a few people that on Thursday they'll call and say, hey, I forgot to get my meals, can I pick them up? Absolutely. Be here at noon, we'll provide them. So we try our best to take care of all of them. It's a struggle, but you can tell. They're not calling to see if they can come get it if they really don't need it. So you can tell that they need it, and we make sure we can provide it. My staffing is we're still short, but we're managing, and we're using subs the best we can, because until we get in full go, it's kind of about dollars and cents also. So last year, as you know, I lost 4 people to retirement or resignation. So we've replaced 2 in October when we came back into the hybrid schedule. And then just this past month, we added 1 more, and then I use subs as the best I can. I've got 2 more retiring this year, and most definitely when we start back in the fall, I'm going to have to replace. I'll have 2 people who I'll have to replace. My plan is to maybe start with a sub in each of those positions, till I can see who fits in what position best, instead of just diving right in. Equipment purchases this year, we purchased a 6-burner electric stove to replace the actual original stove at the elementary building. So we got our money's worth from that one. And the washer at both the middle school and high school decided to just quit working about the same month, or within the same 5 or 6 weeks. So we replaced both of those. I don't have anything else. Things are going really well. Staffing is well. The people are very willing to participate when we put out these meals every week, and things are going well.
All right, well, we appreciate you.
How close are we at meeting that percentage? I know like for the pre-reduced amount, how close are we on that again?
To meet what?
Well, for where everybody qualifies, isn't there that threshold level where?
It's well over 50%.
Well over 50%.
And there is a program called the Community Eligibility Provision, and that's where every student eats free,
Right.
every meal, every day, but it's based on a percentage of your students who qualify by direct
Right, that's what I was
certification.
thinking, yeah.
Yeah, and we're not anywhere
No,
close.
okay, I didn't know how.
We're only at about 34% overall, and maybe half of those are direct cert. So we're not really close there. And that's the only way you can participate in the seamless summer over the summer, unless the USDA does this waiver that they're doing now. Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions? I just want to say real quick that, we, as board, we really appreciate all the hard work that you and your staff have done. I would drive by and see all the people out there in line and all the stuff that you guys do. I mean, this is hopefully it's something we never have to go through again.
Sure,
but
sure.
We appreciate everything you guys do.
And they make it fun. The staff makes it fun. I mean, in May, they wore caps and gowns. The ladies at the curb wore caps and gowns. They wear the little floppy ear things with bunnies on them, whatever season it is, they make it fun.
Yep. Well, we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can say that back when COVID first started and we went
we came in there, I think that you needed some help, some volunteers or something, and we kind of came in and saw. I was really impressed with how dedicated your staff was. And you know, I'll go back to leadership, because obviously they were dedicated for a reason, and it's because of their drive and their passion to work for you, and how great you did to keep that crew together. So
Yeah, they did a great
kudos.
job.
Yeah.
And I can't be successful without them.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Number 6,
Thank you.
discussion and approval of the minutes. I know there's one clerical on page 5 on the employee personnel on E. Employee personnel, it's supposed to say, just, it's right in here,
It's right in the
4-hour day, step 0. On the previous notes, or previous minutes, it had 4-day, okay? So it's 4 hours a day, step 0. That's the only fix on the minutes that was brought to my attention, unless somebody else has anything. And that brings us up to page 26. So do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
Walter, Cato. To approve the minutes of the regular meeting of Liberty Union-Thurston Board of Education held on March 8th, 2021 as printed.
Should also say in that
Yeah.
too, the special,
And
we have
the
the special
special.
one, yeah, on March 24th.
March 24th, is that?
Yeah,
And-
I think that's what it said in here.
And March 24th
Yeah.
as printed above. Ms. Boyer?
Ms. Cato?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Schiff?
Yes.
Dr. Walter?
Yes.
All right. All right, number 7, monthly financial. Mrs. Boyer?
Okay, we have our bank reconciliation. And then the monthly report. On page 4, it's our revenue, and our revenue is up for the month, which is mainly due to our real estate. The real estate was up almost 159,000 over last year in March. Our revenue for real estate is above last year in total to this point by about 412,000. Let's see here. And then on page 5, the difference again is due to the revenue from real estate and the income tax, and also our state revenue. The governor is returning the funding that we have taken away, so that's why that's higher. Then on page 6, there's only almost 28,000 in difference from one period to the next on spending. That really isn't a big difference when you're talking millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands. Page 7, our expenditures are down a lot more than we had forecasted. We've not replaced some of the positions yet, and we've also not had nearly the amount of subs that we normally do. So that's hoped in saving money. Then our interest on page 8, I did check around on rates, and right now they're still really low. The best I can get is a little over 1%, and that's for a 5-year bond, and I just don't see that being a good choice right now. I'd rather wait and see what happens. On page 9, we're at 75% of the year, and everything is right about at 75%, except for those few, like our property tax, which we've already done all the collections for that, and the public utilities. Everything else is pretty close to the 75%. Next is the bills, and on page 2, 96262 to Complecto. for $23,908.62. And it's on March 26th. That was for grind and seal polish the concrete floors in the new athletic building. And that came from our building fund. Then you have our changes and appropriations for the 018s, 200s and 300s, and then our donations. $516.99 from Kroger Rewards to the middle school principal. $82.06 from Kroger Rewards to high school yearbook. $36.89 Kroger Rewards to volleyball. $1,500 from Christie's Pizza to the 8th grade Philadelphia trip. $1,000 is an anonymous donation to the general fund. And $154.60 Liberty Union Elementary PTO to the middle school principal. And that's all I have.
Any questions? Do I have a motion to approve the monthly financial statements printed above?
So moved.
Second.
Cato and Moore. Ms. Boyer?
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Shook?
Yes.
Dr. Waters?
Yes.
Ms. Cato?
Yes.
All right, number 8, new business financial appropriations. The treasurer, April Boyer, recommends approval of the following appropriation changes for the fiscal year 2021. B, service provider. The superintendent recommends approval of the following. Frontline Tech Group LLC recommend approval for applicant tracking. The fee is $2,308.64. Service provider Alice Keeler, 2021-2022. Tech service for teachers website, $249. Number 3, Zern, recommend approval for the school year 2021-22 service and professional development of cost of $5,000. Service provider Sedwig for the school year 2021-2022 as OSBA and OASBA $940. Service provider Meta Solutions, SSI support Power School Progress Book and Infinite Campus for a cost of $19,446.75. Service provider Meta Solutions, Info Ohio Library Service for the cost of $9,171.90. Service provider Denise Barte, August 1st, 2021, June 12th, 2022, occupational therapist for LU students at a cost of $67.25 per hour as therapist and $59 per hour as assistant. Number 8, service provider PBL Design and Teaching Practices, recommend approval for the May 2021, June 2022 district commitment to participate in PBL Design and Teaching Practices. And that's a cost of 7 teachers at $1,597 or a total of $11,179 to be covered by the Fairfield County ESC grant. C, resolution to approve in lieu of transportation costs for the 2021,
It should be 2021.
2020 and 2021 school year. Ms. Boyer, treasurer, requests approval of the following solutions. Now therefore be it resolved that the Liberty Union Board of Education declares that such service by school conveyance to Bishop Hartley, Fairfield Christian, Fisher Catholic, Grace Christian, Harvest Prep, Holland Learning Center, Liberty Christian, St. Bernadette, and St. Mary's is impractical. And hereby agrees to the parents of said pupil listed below in lieu of providing such service as an amount which shall not exceed the state average cost to transport all pupils in the state the preceding year. There's a list of all the people that have I guess requested that, correct?
Yes, that we will be reimbursing.
All right, and D, press box. The superintendent recommends that the quote from Dant Clayton to construct a new game-ready I-beam ground start and integrated press box for $374,371. E, baseball and softball fields. The superintendent recommends that $25,000 be approved to complete the cement work around the baseball and softball fields. Do I have any discussion?
Did you want me to say anything about either one of these?
Yes,
Two
go right
items?
ahead.
Now, first of all, under D, just for the purposes of the resolution, we probably ought to say press box / grandstands, because we're putting in grandstands too, not just the press box. And I know that's a lot of money, $374,000 rounding, but we're at a point where we have to make a hard decision in the school district. I think there has been some discussion about our 6-lane track and doing something about that eventually. I think that Board of Education and administration have been really good stewards of the funds, and we've waited on this to the very last moment. Currently, the 6-lane track is beyond repair. We've used all of the life out of it, and the individuals that repair that track and keep it running have indicated that they will not repair it any longer for fear of product liability, somebody getting injured on it because they can't repair it appropriately anymore. So we're at a point that we're going to have to spend $350,000 to replace that track. I think administration is recommending that this is the point at which we make the decision to use that money in a way that puts in an 8-lane track. That causes us to move the current stands. The current stands are old. They're 40 years old perhaps. We know at least 35 years old. Do we have annual reports on the repair of those stands? And they're getting more increasingly costly to keep repaired and upgraded. The last report to the administration is that the stands do no longer meet code in 2 critical areas, and the only reason that we are getting by with not meeting those codes is that we're grandfathered to stands. So I think it's time to make the decision in both cases. We could talk about putting in a 6-lane track and just keep the grandstands, but I'm convinced that if we do that, those stands are going to need to be replaced anyway within the next few years. And so we've wasted an opportunity. So the first step here is to put the grandstands and the press box in. If the board approves this tonight, we can get a contractor on site to have those grandstands completely finished by the first week of August, before we need to use them for the football season. Their capacity is 1,400, and so those individuals have gone out to our stadium area. We've got the old grandstands, and then we have these 2 portable units on the side. We're going to repurpose those, perhaps to the middle school. We might use the larger one at a home site on the softball football field, and move the 2 smaller ones for visitors at the middle school. We haven't really decided what we're going to do with those, but they are portable and we can move them. So we'll be moving those to the middle school. That will allow us to, as soon as football season is over, because we're not going to do this before then, before football season is over, is to remove the track in preparation for putting in the track next spring. It's going to cause us to cooperate with other school districts for our track and field events next year, but then we can put the track in and have that all operational. If we wait too long, we're going to be affecting 2 seasons of track, so the timing is just perfect right now. We are in a position, we have to spend the money. We ought to spend it in a way that makes most sense to
all of us and to our public. I think it's a good recommendation. It's, again, one that demonstrates that we're spending the public funds in a good way.
And this benefits multiple groups. I mean, obviously it benefits, benefits football, track, but I mean, it also benefits the community. I mean, that track gets a lot, we all go out there and see, I mean, that gets a lot of community use too, so that's gonna be, I mean, that's not, we'll have a nicer track for, the community use for their, walking and running. And so obviously this is something that's got a lot of heavy use, and it's certainly time to upgrade it, yeah.
There's going to be some work here. Our maintenance department is going to dismantle the current stands, so they're going to help us save some money there, and help in terms of supervising the installation. So Joe Pearden will be supervising the installation. The other is to finish off the baseball, softball field. There's some cement work behind the backstop area in the softball area that needs to be finished off. And then there's a transition walkway for the baseball field that needs to be finished off. So this cement work, this approval of the cement work will allow us to finish those two areas off.
Any questions?
I also wanted to say the appropriations, that is why we have the appropriation for the 400,000 to cover these expenses.
And again, the expenditure and revenue picture is there. I mean, it's a good time to be doing this particular project as well because of the favorable revenue expenditure picture that we've experienced.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Walter, Ms. Cato, to approve new business financial items listed above. Ms. Boyer?
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Shook?
Yes.
Dr. Walters?
Yes.
Ms. Cato?
Yes.
All right. Number 9, new business personnel. Certified substitute list request and recommended approval of the April 2021 certified substitute list from the Fairfield County Educational Service Center. B, resignations, retirements. Building and Grounds employee Troy Donahue has submitted his resignation for retirement. His last work day is June 30th, 2021. Dr. Johnson, Superintendent, recommends approval. At the March 8th, 2021, the Board of Education approved July 9th, 2021 as his last day of employment with the Liberty Union-Thurston local schools. 2, Technology Director John LaBelle has submitted his resignation effective immediately, March 9th. The Superintendent, Dr. Johnson, recommends approval. Number 3, high school art teacher Miss Lauren Martin has submitted her resignation due to her husband accepting a position in Georgia. Number 4, Building and Grounds employee Steve Thompson has submitted his resignation effective at the close of the business day on April 2nd, 2021. Number 5, Assistant High School Principal Marcus Alford has submitted his resignation effective at the end of the 2020-21 contract. And number 6, Interim High School Principal Holly Griffin has submitted her resignation effective at the end of her 2020 and 2021 contract, July 31st, 2021. C, Employee Personnel, the Superintendent recommends approval to hire the following: Dirk Christ, Technology Director, Step 2, effective March 10th, 2021. Brian Martin, Bus Driver, Step 1, effective March 22nd, 2021. Christina Grady Watts, High School Principal, 2-year contract, 260 days, Step 3, effective August 1st, 2021. Marcus Alford, 7th grade Social Studies teacher, Masters plus 30, Step 14, effective 2021-2022 school year. And 5, Holly Griffin, High School Assistant Principal, 2-year contract, 214 days at Step 5, effective August 1st, 2021. D, Assistant Technology Director, Substitute Dr. Michael Johnson. Superintendent is recommending and requesting approval of Noah Barker as a substitute assistant technology at $14 per hour up to 30 hours per week. E, supplemental position contracts. The following personnel are recommended by the superintendent effective February 27th, 2021. These are Chuck Rhodes, volunteer track coach; Larry Schaffner, volunteer track coach; Eric Smoleski, volunteer track coach; Devin Llewellyn, JV softball coach, level 3, step 0, and Haley Llewellyn, softball coach, level 3, step 0. F, extended time. Emily Church, elementary music teacher, is recommended to receive 30 minutes per day when required to start her day at the middle school. And this is for the 2020-2021 school year, which is not there, but that's what it's supposed to say. All right, any questions?
Yeah, I want to ask Dr. Johnson something. With our coaching hires and so forth, I just feel uncomfortable with the fact that we're approving coaches after they've already started, after they've already been with our athletes, because I guess my concern is if one of us or a group of us on the board are opposed to a hire, it kind of makes it a difficult situation after they've already been with the athletes, after they've already been coaching, and then we go back and we say, hey, we're not in favor of this hire. Is there any way that we can expedite that or clean that up a little bit so those coaches are approved, board approved and everything before they start with the student athletes?
I guess I would say yes. There's must be some circumstances around this because it's not usually what we do. I don't
Well, it seems like that we have been. I know that last basketball season and even football season,
right.
These coaches were already with the athletes, already practicing, already assuming their roles,
Yeah.
and then we're approving them. And I just feel that eventually something's going to happen where somebody is not in favor of a hire, and they've already been with these athletes. I just think that we need to approve them prior to them being with the athletes. I mean, what do you guys have a concern with that, or do you guys see what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Okay, Sean.
Well, I think that, I know since Mr. Johnson's come here, I think he's really try to clean that part of it up. I think it's actually, I know that, some of we were waiting on, why this person hired, we're waiting on the paperwork. If they don't have all the paperwork, then he's typically not putting them forth and bring them to us. And it was making Janet and those have to work harder to get it done. So I know that he was working on that, and I'm almost sure.
Well, I want to assure everybody that unless they have a complete file, I won't let them work with kids, and it is retro. I think there's a problem when it does occur. It's because we can't find somebody. There are not enough applicants, and we were really having a difficult time finding the assistant softball coaches. I think these are the only two that seem to have any experience. In fact, they're really young people, and they're under close supervision, but I think they're getting on the edge of being far too young. But I don't think we could find anybody else that would be out there coaching. That's part of the problem, but I'll work on improving that.
Yeah, and I guess I just wanted that to be known that could be a possibility down the line, and then it puts us in a position as a board to disapprove someone who has already been working with the athletes, say for a month or 3 weeks or whatever. It just kind of makes it kind of uncomfortable, I guess I want to say.
I agree with you. I agree. Are you about ready to ask for a resolution, Mr. President?
I'm getting ready to ask for a motion, yeah?
Yeah, may I make another comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to, just for the record, commend Holly Griffin and Mark Salford for stepping up and doing this interim job. I think they both did an outstanding job. It's going to serve, I think, well for their record. The fact that they were there, talked to both, and just want to say what a good job they did. They took care of all the details. They've pledged to take all the details all the way to the end of this current year and getting behind it. I do hope that they both apply for future opportunities in the school district. But I think I'd be remiss without saying publicly they did a wonderful job, and I want to thank them for the job that they did for us.
Thank you.
Just, for Miss Martin, is that just effective the end of the school year? It didn't say.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I figured that's what it was, I just wanted to.
Yeah.
I added that, but it wasn't original.
Yeah, she's finishing out the year.
Right. Any other discussion? All right, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Moore, Mrs. Cato, to approve new business personnel. Ms. Boyer?
Mr. Shuck?
Yes.
Dr. Walter?
Yes.
Ms. Cato?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
All right, number 10. New business other, job description. Superintendent recommends approval of the following job description: flag corps advisor, flag corps advisor. And I'm not gonna read through all that, but that's the qualifications, duties of that particular job. And B, summer camps. You know, it's kind of nice to, you know, look across this thing here and see the lots and lots of summer camps and things. I know it's not normal, but it's a little closer to normal when you see all these different summer camps that I don't think we saw last year. So I'm glad to see it. I'm going to just highlight the different camps. All right, I'm not going to read every individual line, but I'm just going to highlight the camps so that people are looking for it, they can see it. So summer camps, band director Mr. Evan Green is requesting permission for band members to participate in band camp. 2, girls basketball team camp, girls basketball youth camp, boys basketball team camp, boys baseball or basketball shootout camp, boys basketball youth camp, grades 3 through 8, soccer youth camp, boys and girls, grades kindergarten through 8, volleyball team camp, volleyball youth camp, grades 2 through 8, volleyball youth camp, grades 3 through 8, varsity volleyball team tournaments, football team camp, football youth camp, grades 1 through 8, cheer youth camp, grades 1 through 8, and the last, cross-country team camp. Any questions about any of those camps? All right, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Cato, Mr. Walter, to approve new business other. Ms. Boyer?
Dr. Walter?
Yes.
Ms. Cato?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Shuck?
Yes. All right, number 11. New business other. This is rescind motion 060-20, adopted June 22nd, 2020. Safety and wellness protocols for assessment and testing. All other board adopted COVID-19 protocols will remain in effect. Safety and wellness protocols for assessment and testing. That just gives all the different.
Yeah, we're just making this change for assessment, because we need to get these kids in here and do the assessment.
Yep.
But we do want to emphasize that all other protocol that the board has adopted, we're still going to observe.
All right.
And we're actually going to observe quite a bit of protocol when the kids come in, temperature checks and masks and that kind of thing, so.
Any questions? I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Or Cato, to approve rescinding motion 060-20, adopted on June 22nd, 2020, as printed above. Ms. Boyer?
Ms. Cato?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Shuck?
Yes.
Dr. Walter?
Yes.
All right, number 12, new business other. We have a presentation by the elementary principal, Mr. Tim Harris, and curriculum director, Mrs. Jennifer Blackstone, will make a presentation regarding the 4 items the Liberty Union staff has been working on throughout this school year?
So super quick on my end, as I talked about in our last times that we presented, we've been doing a lot of work at the elementary in terms of looking how we're doing things differently moving forward. As you know, you've received copies of what the current report cards look like compared to what they're going to look like as we move forward, with a little bit more rigor, a little more expectation, more feedback for parents, and I'll get into that here in a second. You're going to see some other information on there about trimesters instead of doing quarters. Some other things like that. But we want to make sure that you got the history. I'm trying. Can you remove it for me? So we're talking about standards-based report cards first.
So, Mr. Harris asked me to kind of assist with this presentation just because I was here prior to him being here and know a little bit about the history. I want to emphasize that this is not a switch in policy. We've been doing standards-based report cards at the elementary school for since 2008. So this isn't something that's new. It's not a new grading policy. We're just updating it and revising it. And one of the reasons that we're doing that, and the main reason that we're doing that, is since those report cards were first created, the standards have been updated since that time. And additionally, it'll help us align with both those standards that have been updated and the curriculum resources that we have adopted to match those standards. The teachers have had a difficulty trying to teach the things, the scope and sequence of the curriculum using the resources that we provide for them, and then it would come to the 9-week grading period time, which we'll talk about additionally in a little bit, but it would come to the end of the grading period, it would come to the report card, and there was a misalignment because the scope and sequence wasn't necessarily the same, or just the way that the old report cards were worded. It was hard for the teachers to make the connection between this is the standard I've been teaching, which is what I'm supposed to be teaching, but the report card is asking me to assess this. And it ended up being that they were kind of like scrambling and saying, okay, I need to make sure I teach this and assess it 3 times. That's one of the things that we do with the standards-based report cards, is we collect at least 3 pieces of data to show how the student should be graded on a standards-based report card. And so we've talked about updating the report cards for quite a while, but we just didn't have all the pieces in place. Although we did have the standards, we didn't have the all of the ELA curriculum that we wanted and the math curriculum, and to see how all these pieces function together. Now we're to the point where we have all of those. We have those standards, we have those curriculum pieces, we have iReady that can help us with our assessments and collecting of our data points. And so Mr. Harris and his elementary staff has done a lot of work this school year to take all of those standards that are not necessarily written in family friendly language, and broken them down and deconstructed them and put them on a report card that matches up with the way that we're actually teaching them and assessing them.
So real quick, the update is that we're taking the wording directly from the standards. In the past, they're basically, I can do these things, I can do this. Now it's actually worded from the standards, which is what's really important. We added effort grades in every class because we know that some kids do better effort in some areas than others. So that's always important to have that information to share with families. We've added standards for all the specials. So there'll be a grade, like you said, on the report card, there's grades for art, music. It's not just an outstanding OS or whatever it is now, I can't remember. But we've added actual grades to those too, to actually show parents what they're strong in those specials areas. So we're looking hard on that. And the scale's a 4, 3, 2, 1, and which I'll talk about that here in a second. But we've added a lot more components to provide more information and more detail to the families when they receive their report cards. So one thing that you have not seen yet, but I'm working on, are performance level descriptors. So there are school districts in the state that actually have descriptors that tell parents what those 4, 3, 2, 1s mean. It's like a guidebook, so to speak. So what we will do is, the staff is currently, and they just turned into me, they review some descriptors that have already been made by their districts. And what we'll do is that'll become an available document to parents to go in and say, oh, a 4 means my kid can do this, this, and this. My kid has a 1, they can do this, this, and this. So therefore now we have open communication, and there's also a reference and a resource for the parents to access to be able to go in and find out what the report card means if they have questions. Obviously, you still have conversations with the families, as we always do, because we're always open for communication, but it's just another layer for parents to reference, and even the staff to help guide them as they're grading the students, because now there's a finite way they have to look at each student. It's not just, well, your kid did this and mine did this, now it's, this is what it is. So now it's where we know specifically and consistently what that information requires and what the expectation is. So it works on that as well, which I'll have that for you hopefully in May to look at for each grade. And those would be in reading, math, and writing are the three big areas where those descriptors would come from. So PLDs, as I've said before, they represent what a student is able to do in relation to the year-end goals. It also talks about levels are based upon academic achievement, period. And then obviously we have other goals with like habits of studying and their personal skills. So there's a lot more detail involved in these report cards. The staff worked really, really hard on them, and they worked really, really hard on the PLDs. So I'm excited to see how it kind of all meshes together and how the community reacts to, hey, having more information, having more open communication, and having something to help guide them to understand what their child's able to do. So again, there's a rigor component to that. It's just more rigorous, it's more expectation, and that's what we're always trying to do is challenge our students to get better. She talked about before, multiple opportunities, at least 3 times to practice and do the skills and reflect on instruction the teacher has provided. So it allows us to go through and have those conversations, allows students to self-assess, but also allows us to be consistent in our grading. And also opportunities for teachers to gather evidence of mastery, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day is mastery. So again, that's what the PLDs will help us provide to help work towards student success. These are the couple things that we usually look at: observations, classroom assignments, tests, small group work, or even one-to-one activities is what allows us to gather that data to show us students' mastery or progress towards mastery. And last but not least, it's a great resource for families because it allows them to understand and know what it is that we're doing. Next steps, we would go into the assessments. We would also go into the progress monitoring. And we would also continue to discuss our 3 pieces of evidence as we are working towards looking at our math and English curriculum still. We're still in that review process. We have some things in place already, but we're also looking at the newest research and the information out there for us to help make informed decisions to work on our report cards and also to make adjustments if we need to. Okay, so I want to talk about trimesters. You already have the paperwork that I sent to you already about the research and what their districts have done. And the reason why, I guess the big point for me is that I really like to look at trimesters instead of quarters. The reason why, when kids are in elementary, there's 2 big things. They need time to get back into the school swing of things. Some of the students need to learn to be in school, and routines take a long time to establish. So the hope is that we are now providing more time to do concrete instruction instead of saying, it took 2 weeks to get all these processes in place, now we have 7 weeks of school left, we have to have a grade. Now it's more of, we have 2 weeks of instruction, now I have 10 more weeks to get authentic information and share data with everyone. Moving to trimesters doesn't change when our breaks are, it doesn't change any of those things, it just makes us that we're reporting 3 times a year instead of 4 times. The nice thing with this too is, our parents are always in communication with us anyways. We always have ways to contact them and contact us, so it's not a thing where I'm worried about the communication side of things. Our staff does a wonderful job reaching out to families if they're concerned, but it allows us to gather more authentic data before just saying we have to report something that we maybe don't have a lot of information on yet due to trying to get the students back into the school routine and also our processes that we do from day to day. So that's why I wanted to propose the trimesters to everyone to talk about it that way. Other schools talk about, that's pretty much what their reasons they do it as well. It just allows them more time to gather data that's purposeful and meaningful to share with families. And with our standards-based report card becoming much more involved, it allows us to gather more data that way as well. So that's why I like the trimester proposal to you guys. Any questions on that? I know you don't.
That doesn't create any problem with like the middle school or high school.
It does not. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think they took the time to review with the middle school and the high school. The middle school and high school principals said they support it. So yeah, taking that step as well.
And there's going to be probably a hitch here and there, but I feel pretty confident we can work through them. As of right now, the only way they could really be an issue is if you had like a gifted student that was accelerated up to the middle school, but there's always ways to work around that. We have a lot more flexibility in the elementary to work through some of those things. So I feel pretty good on that end. Like I said, I won't do all this because I know I already sent it to you ahead of time. But the important part is that students need to have multiple attempts to work with concepts before developing a true understanding. That's the big thing. It's not about memorization, it's about true understanding of the content.
Doesn't it match up with what you said earlier in terms of assessing 3 times a year?
Yes.
So
Correct.
those are aligned as well.
Yes. So it'll all go together. And like I said, we're still reviewing some of our curriculum that we use currently. We've had great discussions about that. And we're looking to see if, is what we're using the most appropriate thing to use as we move forward. To see kind of what the Department of Education's educational plan is for the state and how we align to that or not. So there'll be more information about that coming down the road. Any questions about trimesters? No, I can't do it.
I can't go either.
Is that the end? Might be the end.
Yeah, I think that's the end.
So a couple other things moving forward too. On this list, there was the talk about the 5 ounce and what always counts. So what we're trying to do to build consistency and with fidelity of instructional practices and implementation, is we're trying to say when a kid leaves our grade, what are the 5 skills they have to know going into the next grade? So whatever your 5 outs are the 5 ins for the next grade. So we've been working on those. That's still going to take some time because you have to go through a lot of standards to make those determinations. But we're feeling that'll help us kind of make some of that consistency between the grades. And then what always counts, for an example, would be when a student's doing a writing assignment, what are the things they have to have at each grade level? When they're doing a math assignment, what's the things they have to have when they're writing down their assignment responses or have to write it in their journal? We want to make it consistent to make sure there's an expectation that's consistent from year to year instead of changing within the grade, horizontally, and then also how does it align vertically. And so the 5 ounce and the what always counts will help us kind of build some of that consistency that we need. So that was the other 2 things. Like I said, I've not really gathered yet, but I want to make sure I share that's kind of what we're working on as we speak, actually. Other than that, though, those are the big 4 things. Any questions on any of those? The staff's worked super hard, so they're super excited about things, and they've done a really good job. A lot of good support around the building. I mean, I've asked them to do a lot of things that are outside what they're used to doing, and they've been super receptive, which has been really encouraging.
This is not an action item. There's no action associated with it. Were you expecting an action?
Yeah. Technically.
It's just a report in here, so you're asking me to recommend to the Board of Education to approve these changes. Okay.
Sorry about that.
And really the only change is the trimester school calendar.
That's
The
the
other
big
3
thing.
are not.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I think
And-
that you have these 4 items. I mean, I would recommend to the board that they approve these.
Okay.
these
I think we had talked about that we wanted to present this information, and then when it came out in the school handbook
Yeah.
that we always do in the summertime, that the trimester specifications would be in there at that time.
So that would be the point in which you would ask for approval from the board and not now.
Yes.
So that's the way the other schools do it.
Yes, okay, so this is just a report, it's not an action item.
Correct.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Anybody else have any questions? Before we move on? All right, item B, policies. The following policies are presented for review only at this meeting and will be considered for approval on May 10th, 2021 at the Board of Education meeting. Everybody had that, read through it, any questions on?
I do want to mention that Sean Pocretto came in at 7:50.
Keep the applause to a minimum.
All right, that takes us now, item 3, treasurer's job description. And takes us all the way back to 4 is bond employees and officers, 5 is promotions and retention of students.
And there's not a resolution.
No, it goes the next
Next
line.
one.
I do want to mention something here. If we go back to item B, AC, the reason this item is on here is that we're gonna change the, change this to curriculum director. So our Title IX coordinator is going to be Jennifer. There is, in this particular policy, under the cross-references, it says in this, on page 37, the cross-reference is ACAA, sexual harassment. There's also a statement in that particular policy that specifically mentions who the Title IX person is. So I'm gonna bring those two back for approval. And I would, at that point, like to announce that ACAA is on here for no other reason than to change the name of the coordinator. So when I bring it back, technically under our policy, it has to be brought back twice. I would like to just bring it back and use this as an announcement, because there's no other change in that policy except that one item. The other thing that I'm going to do is, in addition to this, I'm going to recommend to the Board of Education by resolution that Jennifer Blackstone be named our Title IX coordinator as a separate resolution, even though we're putting these in the policy so that they all happen at the same time, because I think it needs to be outlined that specifically and directly that the board has named her as our Title IX coordinator. That'd be the things that I would do next time. In the meantime, I'm your Title IX coordinator.
All right. Just a question on 5, which is promotion and retention of students. Have you got that far yet? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So.
I just read the highlights.
Okay, cool. So grades, so we're doing away with or not that we're doing away with, it's strict, kindergarten language arts and math is struck through, and then we've got grades K here, and now we're talking social studies and science. Is that, we're not doing anything with kindergarten social studies and
Technically,
science?
we will be moving forward because of the report card.
Okay.
There actually
Okay.
is
Fair.
aspects of science and social studies in those.
Okay.
So yeah, so they will be addressed within that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Do we have a need for executive session?
I don't.
Anybody? All right, so number 14, next regular Board of Education meeting will be held Monday, May 10th, 2021 at 7 p.m. in the district office boardroom. Number 15, do I have a motion to adjourn? Moore,
Second.
Cato, at 8:01. Ms. Boyer?
Mr. Shuck?
Yes.
Dr. Waters?
Yes.
Ms. Cato?
Yes.
Mr. Hocraddle?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
We're adjourned.
We're adjourned.